Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm new to the stream anyway, and today we are starting week 1 for Halloween. So if you were not on sprints the other day, I was trying to come up with a concept. I've done Vlogoween on my channel, but this year we're going to kind of do a mashup of Vlogoween and also a month of Leandra because I am taking part in Fablen. I am a co-host for Fablen, and I'm on the team with Leandra. Like, Leandra and I are co-hosting the same guild for that. And then also Leandra is doing TBR Harvest, which is her autumn themed, spooky season themed version of TBR-a-thon. And she did TBR-a-thon in January, and I participated then. And then now she's doing TBR Harvest, and I am participating in that. And the way that I decided to do TBR Harvest is I chose the trick-or-treat option, which has a bunch of prompts and you collect items that way. And I put all of the prompts on a spinner wheel and I played my Wheels of TBR game, and so many of the books that were picked from my physical TBR because I was getting the physical format, which is how I pick books off of my own TBRs. I have Kindle, like ebook, audiobook, and physical book, and if it's a physical pick, it has to come off of my physical TBR. So that's what we're doing. But I have started the first book for this readathon. Now, both readathons. I'm going to say that I did stretch my own game a bit in order to fit this book onto my TBR for TBR Harvest, because technically I do not own this book in a physical format yet, because not all of the books were out, and now that they are, I am planning on buying all of the books and owning them on my physical TBR. So I will own them. They will be physical books that I own. However, I do own them on my Kindle. And so the first book that I'm reading is Bonded by Thorns. I will put a picture here. I am buddy reading this with Brittany. She may have finished because I know she has the audiobooks, but I have not finished. And yeah, so this book works for the option for the encounter for Fablen, which was sharp object on the cover. Thorns are sharp. And then also this is a reread for me, so that is what it works for TBR Harvest. And I'm really excited to be rereading this book. I want to read the last 2 books in this series, but I need to reread the first 2 because I read them like last year and I don't really remember a lot. As I read, I remember things. But this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, or reimagining. I would say retelling, and it is smutty. It's got fae in it. It's just a lot of things. So I'm going to go read some of this, but I wanted to come in and just talk about this. I don't know what all we will be doing for these, but every video for this month will be the Vlogoween Halloween kind of theme. So I do have actual Vlogoween vlogs that I'm doing as well throughout the month. But those will not be like weekly vlogs necessarily. They will just be like Vlogoween vlogs. Just like spooky books that, or not necessarily spooky, because I do have like a smut book thing coming out that you will probably actually see before this one. But these will be, I plan on just doing some weekly like Fablen / TBR Harvest videos. So these are probably honestly going to replace my What I Read This Week for this month, and then in November we'll go back to the What I Read This Week vlogs, because it seems redundant to be talking about books that I've been reading and finished in these videos and then also doing a What I Read This Week. So these will be my weekly vlogs that are going out. But yes, someone came up with the Halloween name for these just because it is the month of Leandra. I'm also doing Leandra's reading my friend's favorite books vlog this month. You're actually going to get 2 of those because I'm finishing up Kelsey's as well. So I'll be finishing up Kelsey's and then going straight into Leandra's. So I'm gonna go read and I will be back probably when I hit like 50%. I am gonna read this really fast. So I don't know how much of a check-in you're gonna get with this book, but I will come back and we'll talk about it and everything, even if I finish it before I come back. So here we go. So I have a little bit of an update. So I've actually finished a book today. I'm not going to tell you what book it is because it is a secret book for a vlog that is coming out after this vlog does. But I wanted to come in and just document that I finished this book and it was not great. I actually don't know what I'm going to rate this book right now, but I didn't really enjoy it. I'm thinking it's going to be like a 2-star, to be honest. But there's that. I'm also starting Bonded by Thorns, so this is going to be my first read for Fablen and also for TBR Harvest. So for TBR Harvest, I'm doing the Trick or Treat version of that, and so basically what's happened is I picked a bunch of, I put all of the prompts for Trick or Treat onto a spinner wheel. That spinner wheel picked 12 prompts and I have to now work with that prompt. So I am actually going to be stretching my own prompt and I'm going to explain why. So the book that I got for, or the book that I'm reading for Fablen is Bonded by Thorns, because our first clue, like our first encounter, you had 2 options. You could either pick a book with a sharp object on the cover, or what was the other one? A book with a window on the cover. So I picked the sharp object because Brittany and I are reading Bonded by Thorns together. So I actually have a fairy tale reimagining. So this one actually fits 2 different prompts that I have for my main wheels for my TBR, which is the Found Family Take My Hand prompt, which I picked a book called Take My Hand. I believe that's what it's called. It's a physical book. I don't know what this book is now that I'm like thinking about it. Take My Hand. I have no idea. But I picked that book. And then the other one that this fits for TBR Harvest is a fairy tale retelling, a reread, or Found Family. So I'm actually going to be taking Ninth House off of this TBR for the month, and we will continue Ninth House at a different time. So I'm actually going to be taking Ninth House off, and we're going to be doing Bonded by Thorns instead. But I know what everyone's going to say. I don't own this book physically because I've said that before, and I don't. However, for this month, I am going to stretch my physical a little bit. And that is because eventually I will have all of these books on my physical TBR. I was waiting for the 4th and final book. I believe there's only 4 books, but I was waiting for the 4th book to come out before I bought all of this, like the entire series, and that is why I do not own the series physically yet. Otherwise I would already own it. So I'm going to count this as a physical TBR read, and I'm going to count it as a reread. So that's what we're doing. So for TBR Harvest, we are going to be reading Bonded by Thorns. I'm also reading it for Fablen. So that is what I'm doing. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to be starting Bonded by Thorns tomorrow. I'm not going to start it. I don't know if I said I was starting it today, but I'm going to be starting it tomorrow when we do all of the kickoff stuff. But it fits for Fablen, and I've also made it fit for TBR Harvest. So that is what we're going to be reading. This is a Fae Beauty and the Beast retelling. There's like male, male, female, like all of the things in it. It is smutty retelling, but I've read the first 2 books and I need to read the last 2. So I told Brittany that if she was going to read the series, I would read the whole series with her. So we're starting with Bonded by Thorns and we're going to make our way through the series. If Brittany chooses not to continue the series for whatever reason, I will be finishing the series at some point. It just may not be this month. So that is what we're doing. That is what we're reading. And yeah, so I will be back probably tomorrow because I don't know that I'm going to pick up another book tonight at all. But I'll be back tomorrow to check in about Bonded by Thorns once our time to start Fablen has come. Hello friends, so I'm here to check in on our progress for Fablen and also for TBR Harvest. So I am actually able to check off one of our, what are they called? Our items for TBR Harvest. I did finish Love in Other Words today, literally like 5 minutes ago. I am giving that book 6 stars, but you'll get my true thoughts about that one in a different vlog. So let me pull up my TBR here. So we have, where is it? I know I put it on. So for Love in Other Words, it was an audiobook and in a sweet word in the title. So sweet word in the title is candy. So we have collected the candy for this. Okay, so I'm just going to check that off. And we're going to use like a bright pink because we can. Okay, so sweet word in the title is the candy. So okay, so we've gotten our very first thing. So like I said, I'm giving this book 6 stars. I absolutely loved this book. It is very well written. I will say that there is a trigger warning for parental death. I know not everybody is affected by that like I am, but I just want to put that out there. I was pre-warned about this by my friend Brittany over at Brittany Loves Reading, and so that is actually part of the reason it's taken me so long to read this book, is because of that theme being in it. But I absolutely love this book. I thought it was very well written. The audiobook was top tier. It is a single POV, but I thought that the single POV was enough. I felt like we got enough between the then and now timelines to feel like we got both points of view. So that is the first book that we finished for TBR Harvest. It doesn't count for Fablen. There's nothing about this book that counts for Fablen, I don't think. I mean, I guess there's a window on the cover of this book, but there's nothing sharp. So yeah, so that's my first book for TBR Harvest. As far as for Fablen, my first book is Bonded by Thorns. So I am going to be finishing up that today, maybe tomorrow. I don't know that I'll be able to finish it tonight, but I am going to read a chunk of it. But that is one that I don't have for audio, so that one's a little bit harder for me to finish up. But I am going to get my Kindle out. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to read, and read that, I think. So that will be great. And yeah, I'm really excited to read that. Which that's a fairy tale retelling, but it has a what does it have on it? Something. It has thorns on it, which are sharp. I will say that because I have this option, I am actually going to put One Cursed Rose back on my TBR Harvest TBR. So I had said before that I was going to kind of stretch, well, really stretch the Bonded by Thorns so I could use it for TBR Harvest. However, because I also needed to read Love in Other Words, I was like, well, we're kind of doing two things at once. So I just read 2 books at the same time, and we're gonna finish Bonded by Thorns, and then we will move on to our next Fablen book. I think we still have a few days to finish that, so between today and tomorrow I'm really going to be working on finishing that. And yeah, that's really it. So I don't know what book I will read next for TBR Harvest. It will depend on what the next book for Fablen looks like and if it actually fits my TBR Harvest TBR or not. Because if it doesn't, then what I will do is I will just say it's fine and we'll just continue reading like 2 books at a time. If that's how I have to do the readathons this month, that's how I will do them. I prefer not to do them that way, but there's only so much we can do, you know what I mean? So that is what we're doing. So I am going to go read some of Bonded by Thorns and do some other things while I process Love in Other Words, and I will be back when I have a Fablen and or TBR Harvest update. Hello friends, so it's been a couple days since I updated this vlog, but I wanted to come back and talk to y'all because I did finish Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home. So this book does not work for Fablen or TBR Harvest. However, I did want to include it in this week's vlog since I did finish it this week. So I'm about to actually pick up Legends and Lattes. I think I said the other day that I was going to pick it up. However, I wanted to wait until we got the next Fablen prompt before I actually picked it up. I did end up spinning for it on TBR Harvest, so it will work for both. So for TBR Harvest, it will work for the prompt a hot drink on the cover. There are 2 different hot drinks on the cover. There is like a beer stein that has steam coming out of it, and then there is a teacup that has tea or coffee in it. So I'm using that for TBR Harvest, and then I also will be reading it for Fablen for Act 2. The prompt is a book you can read in one sitting. So I am going to actually start listening to this right now, and we're going to be listening to this in one sitting. So basically this audiobook will play from now until it's over, and I will not be going to sleep until it's over. So I will be walking around with just like one headphone in once everybody gets home from work at school, but I will be listening to this. This is technically also a reread for me. However, I didn't double up on TBR Harvest prompts, so I'm going to go ahead and start Legends and Lattes. This one was a little bit of a stretch because I do technically own this book physically, but I own this book physically, but I don't have my physical copy here. It's still in Indiana, but I do have bookshops and Bone Dust physically here because I bought it here. But this is what Legends and Lattes looks like. Super cute. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to listen to this. It is read by the author, Travis Baldry, and I'm going to go listen to this, and then when I am finished with it, I will be back to check in. Hello friends. So, welcome back to this vlog. I'm starting a new book. So, we are starting The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This is on my TBR for TBR Harvest. This is the, I don't remember which book this is, for TBR Harvest. Let's check. So for Fablen, it will work for a shadow on the cover, which I need a book with a shadow on the cover. So there are lots of shadows here. There's a lot of shadowing over the stairs. There's like a shadow with like the cat is casting a shadow. So yeah, lots of shadows in this one. The trees are casting shadows. So there are a lot of shadows in this, which is what I need it for Fablen. For TBR Harvest, this was the Witchy Vibes physical pick for that prompt. So this was like a wheel pick. So we're going to pick up the Spell Shop. I do have this, and I have my Fablen bookmark. How freaking pretty is it? Anyway, I do have this as an audio book. I did find it on Everand as an audiobook, and also this has pretty sprayed edges, but I did find this as an audiobook, so I'm going to be immersion reading this. I did want to dedicate to read one physical book this month, like one book where I physically hold the book and read it this month. However, I don't know how well I'm going to do only physically reading. I'm not really a physical book girly. I read mostly audios and on my Kindle, so I'm going to give myself the grace to immersion read this, and I'm going to call it physically reading, because I believe Leandra does do immersion reading a lot, so that's what I'm going to do. So I know that Leandra has read this book. I know Brittany has read this book, so I'm really excited to pick this one up. I wanted to read it last month, and it just didn't really fit anywhere for me to read it, so we're reading it this month. All the witchy vibes. It's October, spooky season, all the things. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start the spell shop. I'm just going to sit out here and read and listen. And yeah, I don't really know a lot about this book. I know that it's like witchy, it's cottagecore. That's really all I know. I also know that the edges are super purple and super pretty. So yeah, it says it takes a village to open a heart and just one man to steal it. So I have my coffee. I'm going to sit out here for a little bit and read. Ari is at a sleepover today still, so she went over there last night and she's still over there today. So whenever she comes home, she comes home. But for now, I'm just going to sit out here on my porch in my chair, which I'm going to get a new chair soon, and I'm excited for that. So I'm going to go ahead and read, and I'll come check in when I've hit something to share, or I finish this book, whatever comes first, or when I close this vlog out, because I do need to finish it today. So spell shop, that's what we're going to read. So I'll be back in a little while. I'm just here to close out this first week of Fablen and TBR Harvest. So we're going to go over really quick the books that I've read, which one for the week, which ones count for which readathon, and that'll be it really. So I read 4 books this week. I read Love in Other Words, which is for a vlog that you will see very shortly, but Love in Other Words counted for the TBR Harvest readathon. And then I read Bonded by Thorns, which counted for the Fablen readathon. It was also a buddy read with my friend Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading. Then I read Magnolia Parks, A Long Way Home, which is also part of the vlog for that Love in Other Words is part of. That one didn't count for any readathon at all. It was just for that vlog. And then I read Legends and Lattes, which counted for both Fablen and TBR Harvest. So I got a total of 4 books done, and I also picked up the spell shop earlier today. This will count for both TBR Harvest and Fablen, but I'll talk about it more in depth next week. So this week we had 2 5-stars and 2 6-star books. So I think that's really, really great. So I will see you guys in the next video. If you want to leave me something down below, leave me some kind of fall or autumn emoji down below. And all my links are down there as usual, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.